Right. Welcome to a game that will be very different from what I usually show. Among other things, this game is, yeah, just the content warning itself. This is a horror game. Normally, I don't do horror stuff very well, with the exception of existential horror, because I find that mildly amusing, for multiple reasons. More than any actual horror. Which probably says more about myself than anything else. But yes, this is a horror game with gore, some violence, and mutilation, suicide, etc. Which means this probably isn't safe for younger audiences, except if you happen to be in America. But it also happens to be a love story with philosophical debates, which makes it unsuitable for children in America. See, I could push social commentary into a game with a very limited amount of characters. Right, let's actually get started. Whatever horrors you may find in these dark spaces, have heart and see them through. There are no premature endings, there are no wrong decisions. There are only fresh perspectives, new beginnings. This is a love story. Right, volume check. Okay, it seems to be not overly loud. Oh. Drat. I forgot to swap to playing it through my headphones. And for reasons, I think I'll turn off the flickering images. There we go. Let's lower the volumes on everything just in case. Is that fine? Yes, okay. I wish it were borderless full screen because it causes the screen to flicker whenever I drop focus. Anyway, I will admit that I cannot play this blind. I have seen several playthroughs of this. But I can try to be as blind as possible because I have not played this game before. I have seen people play it, but I have not played it. That's A. And the music shifts. I have seen people play it before, but I can try to be as blunt as possible by basically imagining what I might do if I had no memory of this game. In other words, role-playing as a slightly alternate version of myself. Which is an interesting thought, but let's go. Nice large text, too.
You're on a path in the woods, and at the end of that path is a cabin. And in the basement of that cabin is a princess.
Right, I have to click.
You're here to slay her. If you don't, it will be the end of the world.
Excuse me, I'm just looking at the parallax effect. Knowing my limited knowledge of art, this means that this must be drawn with multiple layers in mind. Anyway, wow, this interface is huge. At least it makes it easily visible for anyone watching. Can't someone else do this?
You're the only one who can pull this off. I don't make the rules. I wish I did, but I don't.
You sure about that? I need to avoid spoilers if I can. The end of the world? What are you talking about?
About the end of everything as we know it. No more birds, no more trees, and perhaps most problematically of all, no more people. You have to put an end to her.
Okay, I think I can raise the voice volume. I'm leery about raising the sound volume though, because I know something's gonna come. Do you have any evidence to back this?
You're already on the path that leads to the cabin. Why would you be here if it weren't to complete a very important task? You've made it this far, you might as well reach the end of your journey.
If you don't tell me why she's dangerous, I'm not going to kill her.
She's not dangerous. She's just a princess. The danger comes if she gets out, which she will unless you do something about it.
Okay, what happens if she gets out then? I want
The more
specifics.
specifics you have, the harder it will be for you to do this very important job. She's a princess. People will listen to her, because listening to her is in their nature, and when they do, everything will come crashing down.
I have serious qualms about saying that it's in their nature, but okay, I guess. Have you considered that maybe I'm okay with the world
Of course
ending?
I haven't. Why would I even consider that? Nobody wants the world to end. I mean, maybe some people do, like nihilists, or very, very evil people, but surely you're not one of those, right?
That's slander against nihilists. Look, I'll go to the cabin and talk to her, and if she's as bad as you say she is, then maybe I'll slay her. But I'm not committing to anything until I've had the chance to meet her face to face.
Then I guess we'll just have to see what happens. But a word of warning. If you go in prepared to hear her out, she could easily trap you in her web of lies. And the more you listen to her honeyed words, the harder it'll be to pull yourself out. Then each and every one of us is doomed. So sure, go, talk to her. See how that turns out for all of us. You make your way up the short path to the cabin. You'll find the princess within. We're not going to go through with this, right? She's a princess. We're supposed to save princesses, not slay them.
Hi, hero. Good to see you here, too.
Ignore him. He doesn't know what he's talking about.
Actual animation.
The interior of the cabin is almost entirely bare. The air is stale and musty, and the floor and walls are painted in a fine layer of dust. The only furniture of note is a plain wooden table. Perched on that table is a pristine blade. The blade is your implement. You'll need it if you want to do this right.
What would I do? The question is, what would I do? Because there's a difficult part here, because to some degree, this game is, of course, to some degree roleplay. All games are to some degree roleplay. Heck, even when I'm playing EU4, I'm playing as, oh, specifically when I'm playing M&T, I'm playing as the nascent state hidden underneath the feudal trappings that come out at the end of the, well, Middle Ages. So I focus on strengthening myself and erstwhile allies against the nobles, specifically the burghers. They're the best allies to have against the nobles. As well as mucking about with the tribes, and specifically in order to reduce them, because I see the nobles as the greatest threat. Though historically, the tribes would be seen as the greatest threat. Because at least the nobles conform to the view of the state, in which there's a hierarchy. There are superiors and lessers, and the lessers should do as the superiors tell you. The tribes overall don't do that, so maybe the roleplay isn't perfect, but that's some overarching distaste for the entire concept of nobility over here, so. Okay. So, the question is, am I role-playing as a character, or am I role-playing as... Am I imagining myself in the position of the character, or am I imagining myself in the position of a player that doesn't know anything? Because if it's the latter, I don't know if I would take the blade, but if it's the former, probably. I think I'll take the blade.
You take the blade from the table. It'd be rather difficult to slay the princess and save the world without it.
The cursor changed.
The door to the basement creaks open, revealing a staircase faintly illuminated by an unseen light in the room below. This is an oppressive place. The air feels heavy and damp, a hint of rot filtering from the ancient wood. If the princess really lives here, slaying her is probably doing her a favor. Her voice carries up the stairs.
Who's there?
She sounds dangerous. It's almost as if she's the one in charge down here. Don't let it fool you. It's all part of the manipulation.
Don't be a stranger. It's been so long since I've had any visitors. Come on down.
You walk down the stairs and lock eyes with the princess. There's a heavy chain around her wrist, binding her to the far wall of the basement. She's so coldly beautiful. Is she really a threat to the world? Focus on the task at hand.
And there you are. Are you here to kill me or something?
I haven't decided yet.
How about you drop the knife and the two of us just talk?
Look how reasonable she's being. We should just drop the blade and talk things out. Don't you dare. It's fine. We can decide what we want to do after we talk to her. Maybe she really is a monster, but killing someone in cold blood isn't very becoming of us. The blade tumbles out of your trembling hands and drops to the floor with an unceremonious clang.
Thank you.
Against your better judgment, you step forward to speak with the princess face to face, unarmed. We'll be fine. I don't know what you're hoping to accomplish here, but I can assure you there's no reasoning with her. Just make sure you don't forget about the blade on the floor. You're going to need it.
Well,
So
the chances
here
of
we
forgetting
are.
about that.
What an awkward start to a relationship.
There's people out there that think you're going to end the world. What do you have to say about that?
Don't just tell her that.
Is that why they threw me down here? But I don't want to hurt anyone. I like the world, I think. I don't remember much about it, to be honest. I've been down here a long time.
Just how long has she been down here?
If I'm supposed to be capable of ending the world, then how did I wind up here, chained to a wall? Have they told you why I'm allegedly so dangerous?
No, and if I'm being honest, I'm more inclined to trust you than I'm inclined to trust them.
Sooner or later, you'll understand.
How
Oh,
sweet.
drat.
Now be a pal and help me get out of here, would you?
Is there an autosave? Auto. This must be it. Interface. Do what your job.
Sooner or later, you'll understand that I have your best interests at heart. Hopefully sooner.
How sweet. Now be a pal and help me get out of here, would you? We could figure out how to deal with them after I'm free.
I'll see what I can do.
You walk up to the chains binding the princess to the wall and give them a tug. They're large and heavy, far too solid for you to even imagine trying to break them apart.
I'm guessing you don't have the key.
Maybe it's somewhere upstairs. Doubtful. Whoever locked the princess away down here intended for her to never see the light of day. They wouldn't have just left the key to her chains somewhere in the cabin.
And if there is no key, do you have any ideas?
Well, you do have that big, sharp knife. You could always cut me out of here.
She speaks with almost complete nonchalance. If we were stuck down here for long enough, I'm sure we'd be nonchalant about cutting our way out. Anything to finally be free.
Still is freaky, though.
You attempt to make your way out of the basement, but the door at the top of the stairs slams shut. You hear the click of a lock sliding into place. Is someone else here? You try the door, but it's locked from the outside. You're here to slay the princess, and you won't leave until the task is done. You make your way back to the bottom of the stairs. This would have been so much easier if you'd simply slain her like you were supposed to. Easier for whom? Easier for everyone.
Including the princess? I don't think so.
I heard the door slam. They locked you down here too, didn't they? The knife. Pick it up and cut me out of here.
You won't like what happens if you do that. Against your better judgment, you place the blade against the princess's arm, just above the massive, unyielding chain. You cut into her flesh. The blade is sharp, and you make quick work of it. Before long, you're able to crack through bone, and she pulls the bleeding stub of her arm through the iron gauntlet.
I do not like looking at this.
She didn't so much as utter a sound. Free from her bindings, the princess turns to face you, her fierce gaze meeting your eye. How is she so composed after losing an arm? It's like she isn't even bothered by it.
Thank you. Now let's get out of here.
No, we won't have any of that. The stakes are too high. You can't just let her escape into the world. No, I just can't let her escape into the world. As the princess approaches the bottom stair, your body steps forward and raises the blade. Wait, this isn't fair. You can't just do that. Watch me.
No.
Stop that.
I thought this was a little too easy.
Your body lunges forward to sink the blade into her back, but the princess swiftly moves out of the way before you can connect. Stop it! Stop resisting me! I am trying to get you out of here alive. The blade. Move the blade.
You're doing your best to help me, aren't you? I can see the conflict in your eyes. I'll make this quick.
She steps forward and pries the blade from your rigid hands.
Maybe I'll see you in another life.
And then she slits your throat with an almost clinical ease. Her face remains unchanged as she watches you collapse to the ground, blood flowing from your butchered neck. This is the end, isn't it? I'm afraid it is. Everything goes dark, and you die. I hope it was worth it.
Oh, don't you worry, narrator. It's going to get interesting from here on out. Very interesting.
You're on a path in the woods, and at the end of that path is a cabin. And in the basement of that cabin is a princess.
Like a broken record.
You're here to slay her. If you don't, It will be the end of the world.
And this is part of the reason why I have such an interest in this game. Time travel! Because time travel's a bit of a big thing for me. I actually initially wanted to do a different game, but then I saw this game was on sale. So I had to have it, and I also wanted the first run to be recorded. So we'll get to the other game that I was hinting at, which is similar enough so that I could actually replace it with this one, judging by how vague I ended up being. Oh well. But another M&T campaign, gotta be consistent and all that, will come first. So, after going through a full run of this, we'll see you in Florence. Anyway. Okay, no.
Oh, don't you start grandstanding about morals. The fate of the world is at risk right now, and the life of a mere princess shouldn't stop you from saving us all.
It's the trolley problem all over again.
Don't forget what he did to us the last time around.
Hi,
I
Skeptic.
wouldn't trust a word out of his mouth. There's got to be a way out of here, for us and for the princess. We just have to keep trying. I'm inclined to agree. If he doesn't remember what happened last time, maybe it's best to keep it that way. You know I can hear you two, right? It's going to be a lot harder than you think to keep secrets from me.
True.
And as far as trying to help her goes, need I remind you how catastrophically dangerous she is to the world at large? I told you about the stakes of this situation less than a minute ago.
Let's assume I'm telling the truth, and all this really did happen. Why should I listen to you? Why should I bother doing anything?
Those are two very different questions, but fine, I'll indulge you if that's what it takes to get you moving. Let's say for a moment that this really is the second time you've met me, or at least a version of me. If you're back here, I'm assuming you died, which probably only happened because you didn't listen to me.
How would you know?
The absolute irony. Well, that's one way to put it, I guess. You really don't remember what happened last time, do you? You practically forced the princess to kill us. That doesn't sound like the sort of thing I'd do, which is honestly all the more reason for you to not buy into whatever self-delusions the three of you are crafting. But this is a thought experiment, so I suppose I'll continue to give you the benefit of the doubt. If I did practically force the princess to kill you, it was probably for a good reason. Did you try and free her? Did you say something really mean to me? Because if I really did what you said I did, you probably deserved it. I'm a professional, after all.
I don't think saying something really mean to you would warrant forcing someone else to murder me, but okay.
Sure you are.
I mean, if it was just once.
Anyway, I believe your second question was, what's the point of doing anything? If you're asking that, it sounds to me like you're making the rather dangerous assumption that your actions last time around didn't have any consequences. What do you mean? Of course there weren't any consequences. You forced the princess to kill us and now everyone's right back where they started. That sounds pretty consequence-free to me. Yes, but in this purely hypothetical scenario, that begs the question of how you got back here. Did time simply rewind itself, or were you instead transported to a different world entirely? If it's the latter, what do you think happened after you died? Do you think the people there lived happily ever after? Or do you think that the princess, left unhindered, brought about the end to everyone and everything, just like I told you she would? What a conveniently ambiguous group of things for her to ruin. For all we know, the princess left the cabin and never saw another soul. Oh, how I wish that were the case, but if the princess weren't a certain, inevitable threat to the world, the four of us wouldn't be here. And yet, here we are.
At all? At all. Interesting.
You're talking in circles.
Thank you, Skeptic.
No, I'm talking in facts.
Let's talk about this princess.
Just be quick about it.
Who locked her in the basement? What is this
People
place?
locked her in that basement, and I told you what this place is. It's a path in the woods. Don't overcomplicate things.
If people locked her away, why couldn't they slay her? Why is this falling on me?
I'm not supposed to say this, but it's because you're special. You're the only person capable of doing this. Call it a prophecy, if that helps, but it's just the way things are. Oh, I didn't know we were special. Of course you're special. Why else would you be here? Yes, right. We're here because we're special. Look, you're annoyed that you're here. I get it. I'm also annoyed that I'm here. But we're all in this together, and we're dealing with a bit of a ticking clock right now, so please just get to the cabin.
Admittedly, I don't want this to take too long, so... But, pressing the narrator is always worth it. You're being cagey. What aren't you telling
I've
me?
told you everything you need to know. Going into more detail would just overcomplicate an otherwise very simple situation and make your job more difficult. Not to sound like a broken record, but the less you know about her, the better things will go for all of us. I know it sounds like I'm hiding something, but you're just going to have to trust me here.
The only reason she was even able to kill me last time was because I let her, and all she did was slit my throat. How is she supposed to end the world?
She just can. Believe me, I wish I could tell you more, but you'll just have to trust that what I'm saying is true, and that, despite it all, you're fully up to the task that's been given to you.
Oh, so you admit that you're hiding things.
You haven't given us an ounce of proof. You do know that, right? What proof could you possibly ask for? Literally anything. Fine. Check your pockets.
I have pockets?
You put your hands in your pockets and pull out an envelope with the words, "The Evidence," written across the front. Within, you find a note in your handwriting. It reads, "The princess will end the world if you don't stop her. This is an immutable truth."
When did I write that? And that's worse than my handwriting.
That doesn't prove
I would know.
anything. How do we know you didn't just forge our handwriting? I wish I could tell you more, but there are some rules I have to follow for all our sakes. Please just trust that these rules are in place for a reason. I'm on your side.
Sure.
You mean you're on our side as long as we do what you tell us to? Exactly. Because you not doing what I tell you to do means you're putting the world at risk. I think we've got everything out of him we're gonna get. Great. Now, if you don't mind, the whole world is waiting with bated breath for you to save it from ruin. A warning before you go any further. She will lie, she will cheat, and she will do everything in her power to stop you from slaying her. Don't believe a word she says. Yes, don't believe a word she says. Just go in, take the knife, and do what you're supposed to. Wink. Did you just say wink out loud?
Yes, wink.
No, I didn't. Wink. Just ignore this clown and focus on the princess. The interior of the cabin is less a cozy woodland retreat and more like a dungeon. A few pathetic wisps of starlight attempt to illuminate the cold, uninviting stone walls, and thick, wrought iron bars barricade the windows, reminding anyone who enters that this is a prison. The only furniture of note is an iron table, bolted to the floor, a pristine blade perched on its edge.
That table is an awful design. Things could easily slip between the bars if they're too small.
The blade is your implement. You'll need it if you want to do this right.
You didn't say anything about the mirror on the wall.
Definitely did not. Does the mirror not count as furniture of note to you? Because it should. There isn't a mirror. There's a table, the blade sitting on the table, and the door to the basement. There's nothing else in here. There's definitely a mirror. There isn't. I think you know what we have to do.
Why would you lie about that? What's the point?
Exactly. Why would I lie about something so meaningless? What good would a mirror even do? That you waste time preening yourself instead of doing what needs to be done?
Well, now look at it. Mirror doesn't have a ripple effect. Nor does the pristine blade. The table doesn't either, but... Because if you look closely, the pixels shift along. It's especially noticeable here.
You walk up to the wall next to the basement door. It's a wall. There isn't much to see here. This really isn't funny. You reach forward and rub your hand against the cabin wall. I hope you know how ridiculous you look right now. But it was there a second ago. And now it's gone. If he doesn't want us to know about it, it must be important. We should keep our eyes peeled. Maybe it'll be back. You take the blade from the table. It will be difficult to slay the princess and save the world without a weapon.
It would also be difficult to cut her out. Again.
Good idea. Much better to be armed than to go in with blind hope alone. The door to the basement creaks open, revealing an old stone staircase. A few sputtering torches attempt to vaguely illuminate your path, dancing across glimmering patches of slimy moss on the stone steps. If the princess lives here, slaying her would probably be doing her a favor. Her voice, harsh but controlled, carries up the stairs.
Is that a visitor I hear? Please, come downstairs. It's been a while since I've had company.
Does she remember us? You walk down the stairs and lock eyes with the princess. She looks up at you, the heavy collar around her neck clanking loudly as she moves. The chains binding both her wrists to the far wall, joining the metallic chorus as she adjusts her hands in her lap.
Yeah, cutting her out of that will be a lot more difficult, won't it?
So much for cutting her out of here.
Yeah.
Do you hear yourself right now? Cutting her out of here never should have been on the table. Have you noticed the empty chain on the wall? Odd that in a place where everything seems to serve a distinct purpose, there would be something so obviously useless. That was there last time too, wasn't it?
Yes, but it didn't have a cuff on it.
It was.
What an interesting development. Why don't you have a seat? The two of us should chat before you bury that thing in my heart.
You step towards the princess, but she stops you before you get too close, holding up one shackled hand.
There's fine. I'd prefer we keep some distance until we've sorted this out.
That's reasonable. We do have a weapon. Might as well put her at ease. You do as she asks and sit on the floor, still a good distance away from her.
Thank you. Now, what are your intentions for me?
My intentions? What do you mean?
Yes, your intentions. You have a knife. What are you going to do with it? Why are you here? There isn't a keyhole in these shackles, so I'm afraid my only way out is surgical removal.
Is she forgetting about the shackle on her neck? Or does she think she'd survive a beheading? You're right. Maybe she's delusional. All the more reason not to trust her. Unless she really could survive.
Though I suppose you could just be here to kill me. But I don't think that's in either of our best interests.
How am I supposed to cut you out if you didn't notice your head is in the shackle too?
No. Like I trust you to come any closer with that knife. All you're going to do is hand it to me and watch me work.
But she would have to cut her head off, right? She can't be suggesting that.
She certainly seems confident. Maybe she knows something we don't.
Or maybe you should consider the most likely scenario. She's bluffing so she can disarm you.
Though if she isn't bluffing, whatever she has planned might be for her benefit alone. There's no guarantee that what's good for her is good for us.
So, what should we do?
I don't know. I'm just spelling out our options, listing the pros and cons.
Then let me help you. I'll start with the cons. If you're handing her your weapon, the cons are that she might use it to escape and end the entire world. And she might use it to kill you. That doesn't sound great. What about the pros? There are none.
The pros are that we can't trust him, possibly even more than we can't trust her. And whatever she has planned could do something to mess with what he has planned. Or maybe they're both screwing us over in their own ways.
So it's a question of who to trust. The narrator, the princess, or neither. You realize I have as much reason to distrust you as you have to distrust me, right?
I do. So I guess this all comes down to which of us caves first. And it's not going to be me. I'm extremely patient.
It's probably better if we take action anyway. No use trying to wait her out. That's playing to her strengths.
Yes, how long has she been down here again? Okay, fine.
Slide it over.
No, absolutely not. I am not letting you hand your only weapon over to the world-ending princess. Until you come up with any other idea, like, say, I don't know, doing your job and slaying her, you remain rigidly in place.
Do you think this will work? Interesting that you're only having us remain in place. It's almost like there are very real limits to your power.
I don't know what you're talking about.
The world ends if we fail, right? Her killing us might not be our only failure state, if you catch my meaning.
I don't know where you're going with this. Could you explain?
Yeah.
Yes, explain it.
Sure, I'm insinuating that we could kill ourselves. Ruin this whole thing.
You wouldn't.
I'm not afraid of dying. Are you?
It's very unpleasant.
A little. Got your point across. Fine. You slide the blade across the floor. The princess maintains unsettling eye contact as she reaches down to pick it up.
Thanks.
She pulls up her hair, smiling slightly as she raises the blade to her throat. What is she doing? She doesn't say another word as she cuts into her own neck. No. You close your eyes. That doesn't stop you from hearing every grisly detail. The splitting of skin, the wet mulching of severed veins, the grinding of metal against bone. I'll be damned. She's actually doing your job for you. Why would she do that?
Huh. So that's her play.
Killing herself?
We don't know that she's dead yet. We're not even watching it happen. She could just be faking those sounds.
And then, finally, you hear a snap and an uneasy silence. There is a slow and fleshy tear. Hard to fake that. This is worse than watching.
And yet our eyes are still closed.
Finally, there's the soft thud of something roughly head-sized bouncing against the floor, and the clattering of chains as they drop along with it. I think you can open your eyes now. Oh no, what did we do? Can we put it back? Please tell me we can put it back. The princess's eyes stare up at you, dead. Congratulations! You saved the world.
Huh. So I guess that's it. What a way to go. But she is gone, isn't she?
I hate this. Can we just get out of here now, please? Of course, the princess is slain and the world is saved. Whenever you're ready, you can proceed to your reward.
Now hold on, she's dead. So what's the rush? What's your angle?
I don't have an angle. I'm just looking forward to putting all this behind us.
Look, I'm just not ready to put my guard down. It's best to keep sharp. She wouldn't have done all that without some kind of a reason. She's left us with this dangling thread, and I need to know why.
You're just wasting your energy. The danger has passed, and now we can all relax and enjoy your reward.
Okay, here's another question of what am I role-playing as. Am I role-playing as if I were the character? The player character? Or am I role-playing as myself with no memory of the game? Because there's a proximity level here. If I were as a character, this would be literally in front of me, and I would want to get out now. Whereas the player sitting from a, well, as a player with no knowledge of the game, I would be sitting with a monitor, safely providing a fourth wall to a rather grisly view that I still don't want to see for any longer than I need to. I think I'm just gonna go with, leave the basement. now.
Fine. But if we're leaving, then we're taking the blade. I feel exposed without it.
With your work done, you
curse
remove
is
the
still
blade
bloody.
from the princess's corpse and make your way back upstairs, closing the door to the basement behind you. You can think of it as sealing yourself off from an unpleasant chapter of your life. It's all uphill from here.
Isn't it harder to walk uphill?
The windows. Do you see that? We used to be able to see the outside world from up here, but now it's just empty. The door. Check the door.
You open the cabin door, ready to return to a world saved from certain doom. Only a world saved from certain doom isn't what you find. Instead, what you find is nothing at all. Where a lush forest stood mere minutes ago, the only thing in front of you now is the vast emptiness of some place far away.
You don't have to act surprised. We could see this vast emptiness through the windows.
Yeah, it sounds a bit too scripted, narrator.
But if everything's gone, does that mean we're not gonna get our reward? This is your reward. An eternity of bliss, if you'll have it. And I suggest that you have it. Okay. This is what's best for everyone. Trust me.
Like hell it is.
I was kind of hoping we get a better ending for saving the world.
This isn't an ending. In fact, now that the princess has been slain, endings are a thing of the past. No, this is the beginning of eternity. Your reward, like I just told you. Time passes. You can't be sure if it's days, or months, or years, or even decades. It's all a wonderful, boring blur. You've never been happier.
Decades? No, it can't be decades. We can't go along with this. We can't let him win.
What do you suggest, then?
We still have a blade. Let's use it on ourselves and start over.
He's suggesting you kill yourself. You shouldn't kill yourself when you have an eternity of bliss right in front of you.
Did you hear the narrator? I'm happy, we're happy.
But we're not happy. He's just telling us that we are. I can tell you for a fact that I'm extremely unhappy right now.
Yeah, what he said.
Don't want to die again. I didn't like dying last time. I'm just going to accept my reward now.
That's great. Congratulations. You've earned it. More happy time passes, though the word begins to lose its meaning. Time, that is, not happy. Happy still has plenty of meaning.
He's just saying things.
The voice's protestations fall on deaf ears. Eventually you pass into a blissful state of pure existence. Though words like eventually and pass ceased to have any meaning to you long before that shift, you simply exist. Happy. Forever.
No, no, no.
No, you stop that. Stop all this nonsense.
You really don't want to be happy, do you?
You know what you have to do.
Is there really no other way? Because I don't want to use the blade on myself.
If it makes it easier for you, I can do it. Let me have it.
Fine.
Alright. I'll make this quick.
You goddamn spiteful bastard. Are you really going to turn down immortality itself just to make me lose?
Immortality stuck in this cannon, in this cabin, sounds more like a prison than anything.
Why should it matter if we die at this point? Haven't you already gotten what you want?
I don't have to answer that.
That's all we needed to hear.
Yeah, fine. The little voice raises the pristine blade to your throat and cuts it open. You rapidly bleed out and then you die. You're a genocidal maniac, you know that, right?
Yeah, we'll see about that.
Yes, we will see.
You're on a path in the woods. See? All done. That wasn't so bad, was it, buddy? But it was so bad. I don't like dying. I don't like being cold and alone in the dark.
Hello, Broken. I share your pain.
I don't think anybody likes dying, but hey, at least it's over. We got better. And now we can move on. Things will work out this time. I know it.
Oh, don't coddle him. For all we know, we'll have to die hundreds of times to get to the bottom of things. Maybe even thousands. He needs to toughen up.
You sound a lot harsher than you were last time, don't you, Skeptic?
Toughen up. You're both freaks. I'm normal. A normal person gets traumatized from dying. And from having to listen to someone cut her own head off. Those sounds are still echoing in my ears. Hold on, did you say thousands? How can it possibly take us thousands of lives to find a way out of it?
Obviously, we need a large sample size in order to figure out our optimal plan. We need statistical significance.
This ain't an experiment, Skeptic.
I'll have you know that my reality is not a data point in your misguided attempt at an experiment.
Surprise, surprise, I'm actually with the narrator on this one.
You've clearly already been here before, and judging by how deranged you all are, you've already been here more than once. I'll spare you my full introduction, but I would like to remind you that the people in my world are living, breathing, suffering entities. Not pawns for you to sacrifice in pursuit of some vague truth.
Should we talk about how we still have the blade? We've never started with the blade before.
I hadn't actually noticed.
Holding it's starting to feel natural, isn't it? Holding a weapon shouldn't feel so natural. It's proof that we're being guided by an unfeeling lunatic. We need to try talking to her.
Oh, Or should we talk about our feelings? That'll get us nowhere, trust me. They're too easy for her to manipulate, too illogical. We can't puzzle our way out of things if we listen to our heart.
I don't think I even need to comment on that. What a sorry, sorry voice you are. This is strange. You're not supposed to start with the blade. It says right here that you're supposed to find it at the cabin. Oh well, I suppose that doesn't make much sense anyway. It's better if you start with a weapon, so this is probably for the best.
Wait, is that a script you have? Can I see it, please? I'm not taking the blade
Are you
again.
serious? The blade is your implement. You're going to need it if you want to do things right.
You say that every time.
Do it. She can't talk to us at knife point. That's no way to get a real conversation started.
You're all being ridiculous. Why would we disarm ourselves at a time like this? Don't you dare.
Do it.
Are you even listening to me? Does my opinion count for nothing? We're never getting out of here if you don't listen. I'm intervening. We're not tossing the blade.
You don't have to listen to him. He hasn't gotten us anywhere.
I'm in charge, and I say we're tossing the blade. You had your chance last time, and we all saw how that worked out for us.
Without another word, you foolishly hurl your only chance at victory far off into the woods, never to be seen again.
Never to be seen again. All we did was toss it into the woods. There's nothing stopping us from picking it back up.
Oh, but there is something stopping you from picking it back up. The fact that you already made your decision. As much as I'd like to turn back the clock, we'll all just have to suffer the consequences of what you've done. That's how decisions work.
Some of them, maybe, but not all of them. There's something more at play here.
You did the right thing.
Thank you. Are you even sure we need to slay her? She cut her own head off last time.
So I didn't mishear you earlier. That doesn't make any sense, though. She's not supposed to be suicidal. More importantly, if she did cut her own head off, why are you here? You shouldn't have died. You should be enjoying your reward. I don't think we were happy. I don't think we can be happy here.
Oh, so now you're on team. Dying was good. Took you long enough.
I mean, you can complain about the journey, while still being fine with the destination.
Well, what's done is done and you're here now. There's no use arguing. Just get to the cabin and settle this. Try not to kill yourself this time.
I can't make any promises.
You stand at the edge of a cliff. An abyss yawns beneath you, empty and endless. The only path forward, a rusted metal bridge. The cabin looms on its far side. I think you already know what waits for you within. It's dreary, but of course it is. We're dreary, and so is she.
There's nothing to find out here. Time to check in with the missus.
I'm going to pretend you didn't just call her that. Every surface of the cabin is draped in chains, the air filled with the mock birdsong of metallic clinks. Where there should be walls, you can see only endless ropes of metal, with hooks dangling from their ends. A fitting cage for a monster destined to end the world. There's nothing for you to do but step forward into the basement. You already foolishly threw away your weapon, but still, your objective awaits.
Huh. That mirror's back again. Why?
What mirror? There is no mirror. The only thing of note here is the door to the basement. It doesn't matter. What are we going to do, look at ourselves? I've had enough introspection.
But it does matter. It's obviously important. It has to be. Otherwise it wouldn't be here.
I'm not going to waste time arguing with you. Just get to the basement, okay? The door's on the other side of the room. then I guess there's nowhere for us to go but forward. You step out onto the floor, or what should have been a floor. Should have been? Yes, unfortunately, you realise too late that there is no floor beneath the metal. There is only a loose web of chains suspended over some unseen space. An unseen space that you are now rapidly plummeting through. She's bringing us back to her.
Or we just happened to fall through an unstable floor. She's a prisoner here. How much agency do you think she has?
More than you'd like, I'm sure.
Oh. Interesting.
Your fall is suddenly, painfully halted as rusty chains pull taut against your skin, their hooks digging into your muscle. You find yourself suspended in what appears to be a vast, dark space. The glinting of yet more chains merely hinting at its full dimensions. You dangle a few feet off the bare concrete floor. If the princess lives here, slaying her would probably be doing her a favour.
You always manage to force that in, don't you?
As your eyes adjust to your new surroundings, you make out a figure standing in the gloom, obscured in shadow. She watches you with the stillness of the grave.
Easy now. We don't know what sort of situation we're dealing with. We should let her make the first move. Let observation give us an advantage.
Hello?
You are met with only silence, save for the creaks and groans of metal as it sways in the stale air around you. The hooks slowly shift in your skin, the pain coming in waves as you continue to dangle helplessly. She won't even speak to us. We did this.
Try to slip free.
As you attempt to move, the princess takes a slow step forward. As she does so, the heavy chains shift, tightening and tearing at your flesh, your joints screaming in agony as the rusted hooks dig deeper. Stars dance in your eyes as the chain wrapped around your neck threatens to choke you. As your vision comes back into focus, your eyes fall on the body of the princess, finally emerged from the shadows. The body of the princess is a weird way to describe a person. It's only accurate. The form in front of you is a body, draped in raiments of chains, her head dragging along behind her in an iron cage. The head stares up at you but says nothing, and the chains squeeze ever tighter.
So much for talking it out. Doesn't seem like she's too interested, does it?
It's not too late. You threw away that blade for a reason. Now talk to her.
What happened to you?
Nothing happened. I think I've always been like this. Outside of everything. A helpless observer to the things that are done to me. The only difference is that my eyes are finally open.
The body takes another step towards you, the chains around you tightening, the hooks boring deeper into your flesh. They constrict dangerously around your throat. You find it harder to breathe.
I don't think she's happy you're here. But what do I know? I'm just a set of eyes and ears. I don't make choices. At least not any that matter.
The poor thing. She thinks it's easier to be detached. But buried pain is still pain, whether she knows it or not. This was all doomed from the start, wasn't it?
What makes you say that, narrator? What do you mean, you're just a watcher? You cut off your own head last time. You made that decision.
What's the point of making a choice if it all ends the same way? I'm still stuck, and you're just as stuck as I am. Everything we witness is just another shade of the same endless cycle. I wake up in chains.
The body steps forward. Your bindings tighten again.
You come to me, knife in hand.
That's not right. We didn't bring the knife.
Yeah, is that right? I bring you the knife? Where do you think it is?
It's obviously right in your... It's gone, isn't it? But that's not right.
The body marching towards you comes to a lurching stop.
Huh. She stopped. What is that supposed to mean?
You've been the one listening to me. You made yourself stop. And now you can decide to finally let me down.
You make it sound so easy. But it can't be that easy. Not after all that violent repetition. Oh.
Suddenly, the chains loosen, the hooks sliding from your skin. You come crashing to the floor, and as the chains rain down around you, her body falls too. The room settles into comforting silence. No more rattling of chains, no more slow, deliberate footsteps from the princess's body, only the soft click of the latch as it opens the door of the cage.
So that's really all it took?
The truth was right there the whole time. We just needed to believe we were better than this. But that can't be it. It's supposed to be more complicated than that.
I've been telling you that since the moment we got here. At least you finally decided to listen to me.
I guess you were right. It's usually the most complicated problems that have the simplest solutions.
You're just justifying yourself after the fact, aren't you?
That is absolutely not how this works.
Looks like we've seen through your lies at last, Mr. the Narrator. If that even is your real name.
I mean, I doubt it has a th in it.
Shh. Hush. Let her talk.
I want you to take me out of this place. That's all I've ever wanted.
The princess's body doesn't stand, instead holding the cage aloft, beckoning you to come near. If you take her out of there, if you carry her to freedom, it's the end of the entire world. You know that, right? It's the end of a world. Your world. But not ours. Sometimes you need to break things to build something better.
We shall bring to earth a new world from the ashes of the old.
Besides, we already made our choice, all the way back in the woods. Nothing you can do about it now. I suppose not. You know, I think a part of me always knew this was doomed from the start. I'm narrating on borrowed time, aren't I? But even if I'm doomed to go, I might as well make sure you have a proper ending. Go on then.
Well, narrator, everything ends with time.
You cautiously approach the kneeling body and extend your hand, bruised and bleeding from the trials that brought you to this point. And then you take her from her prison. She looks up at you, and for the first time since you laid eyes on her, she smiles, warmly.
I have no idea how we're supposed to leave.
But the body points, and you follow its finger to a lone chain dangling from the doorway that sits far, far above you.
I'll pull us out of here, if you just hold on.
Then let's leave. There's nothing left for us here.
I'm game.
So am I. Then get on with it. You wrap your hand in the chain, holding tight as it starts to move and holding the princess close to you. Together, you rise out of the pit.
I'm sorry if I made this harder than it had to be.
You glance back towards the princess's body, doing its part as it hoists you up. It grows smaller and smaller, slowly disappearing back into the shadows of the basement.
No, that's not right. There shouldn't be an if. I'm sorry. I made this harder than it had to be.
Maybe she has a point, in a way. Our bodies don't matter.
We're almost there. I can smell the night air.
She's sacrificed a lot to get here. More than we did, I think.
And then the chain stops its ascent, depositing you safely in the cabin doorway. I guess you never closed it behind you. Well, there's only one thing left for you to do.
Shall we?
You know, it's funny, all this talk about free will, and I feel I'm locked into this outcome.
I mean, what's the alternative? Dropping me to prove a point?
Huh, I hadn't even considered that. Should it be an option? Can it be an option?
No, it's not an option. We're not cruel for the sake of being cruel.
I'm joking, by the way. Please don't drop me.
It would certainly be a new data point.
Probably wouldn't work anyways. It'd make that perfectly good blade you threw out completely meaningless.
I am not dropping her. I am not. No. Just no.
And so you step into a world ended by your hand. What a travesty. Goodbye. It's been... Awful? Is he still there?
I think he's gone.
Yes, he is. Which means we're finally free, I think.
Thank you. So much. I didn't think this was possible. But here we are. It's a little cold out here, isn't it?
And there she goes. You do not get the chance to respond. Something has ripped her from you, and it's left something else in her place.
She's gone. Where did she go? Should we try and find her? And there's that mirror again. Why is it here? Why now?
I don't know where she went, and I don't know how we even go about looking for her.
If there's even a her to find anymore.
You're right. She's gone. It's just us and that awful thing. I feel anxious. Does anyone else feel anxious?
I think I'm supposed to look at the mirror.
Something dreadful about it. I don't think you should.
You're right. Part of me wants the truth, but something stronger is holding me back. Fear.
I don't want to look at us. I'm begging you, don't do this.
There's nothing else to do, is there? The mirror never scared you before?
It's different now. It feels, I don't know, final.
You approach the mirror. Silent as you reach forward. They're gone, but the mirror remains. It's time for you to see what's in it. It's you. You are alone in a place that is empty. It is quiet here. Proceed to the cabin. You are at the cabin.
Something finds me in the long quiet and brings me the gift of a fragile vessel.
What are you?
I am solitary lights in an empty city. What are you?
I'm a person.
A person, a set of eyes witnessing from one perspective. I think that you are more like me than you are like a person. We are oceans, reduced to shallow creeks.
Let her out of there.
I'm sorry. There are some changes that can never be undone. There are some tears that can never be unshed. This is not a place that can hold a fragment of a concept. The moment she arrived here, she was going to return to me. I promise that it doesn't hurt.
It is chilling, though. Very chilling. The gift of a fragile vessel?
Yes. Nerves and fibers to feel the worlds beyond. Perspectives to make my own. This one is a locked door to which you held the key. She will make for an open heart if you let her. Do not mourn her. She is no longer bound.
And yet there are still the chains of the cage. Is this the end of the world?
How can the world have ended if we are talking?
I mean, there's nothing else around, so... except the mirror for a moment.
You are the only thing I have ever known. The space we're in is vacant. Nothing comes here but us.
Are you the princess?
She is part of me, and part of me is her.
But were you always a princess, or are you just making her a part of yourself?
You speak in circles. Does it matter where one thing begins and another ends?
To some degree, yes. After all, things exist in patterns, don't they? Are you what sent me to slay the princess? Are you what trapped me here?
I have only just now stirred to consciousness. I could not have trapped you here, and I too yearn to be free.
Do we know each other?
You are familiar, but you are not me. I feel sadness, longing, hope as I witness you.
What happens now?
Nothing, as we are, but I know that there are worlds beyond us, and that we are meant to reach them. There is no exit, but this vessel is a creature of perception. She can make you forget, if only you believe her to be able to. Bring me more perspectives, so that I may be whole, and perhaps then we will know our freedom.
How much will I forget?
Everything, until we meet again.
That's, Aren't you scared that I'll find a way to kill you?
I have not lived. I am not afraid to die.
And yet how can something be a... How can something exist with a consciousness and yet not be alive? How many more pieces of you do I have to find?
More than you have found, but less than there are to find. I am infinite. The rest will find their own way home.
Spoiler alert, the number is 5 in total. Okay, make me forget.
She asks that I tell you to remember her. You won't.
You know, I was expecting that to sound worse in headphones. It does, but not nearly as much as I expected. Okay, let's wrap up the this portion here. I do plan on trying to get as much of this done in a single session as possible. I'll probably take breaks in between for, you know, biological reasons. You have to eat, drink water, etc. But I'm going to try to do this in a single day to make the emotional impact hit hardest for me. Admittedly, yeah, this one's already rough. After all, I did intentionally pick the route that I felt best represents myself and what decisions I would take. It does hit pretty hard, doesn't it? Especially since to some degree I feel just as the cage did. An observer to a world that influences me, and yet I have no, or at least very little influence over. Seeing a world that has so many things wrong with it, wondering if we can't do better, try to do better, and yet there really isn't much I can do, is there? Anyway, that's it for this session. See you in the next one, which is going to be a little bit for me, but yeah. We'll see you on the other side. Voice of the hero.